certain things we need to define them in our own way. Maybe we need to learn, one needs to learn to learn things, and then also learn to define them your way now, to say, this is what I'm told, and this is how this that I'm told works or operates or is. This is what it means. But what is my understanding of this? And this is where you have to use your own definitions, because the society has created this definition for this. And the society has created things that made sense to them, and within the society it was those people, that man and that woman, that decided to make that definition go viral, that definition pass. But does it really mean something to me? And we see this a lot in religion and in culture, and especially in religion politics and religion debates, that certain group of religion will have their own definition of certain group, particular religion, and depending on the numbers and the highest energy, that definition will remain, because they decided to make that definition go viral, and certain people will now be perceived based on certain people's definition, and certain things are now also perceived on certain people's definitions. Is it really true? Is it really how it's defined? But then when you go to those people that are defined as those people and you chat to them, and you now question and understand, you will now know that this definition was given by somebody from a distance who took these things as threats and decided that this is my definition for this because it worked for him. Was it really the definition? It's always a debate as well with sometimes Christians, Islamic people, or Islamic religion people. I remember at a very young age, I went to a group of friends that I knew and asked, who is this Allah you pray to? And they said to me, go Google the word Allah, it means God. Yet I thought Allah was a name that they gave to a person based on their religion, but only to know that it was a name. It's a language name that means God. But then certain group of people decided to define that in a certain way, and then made it explode that in the eyes of the other people from a distance will now see this definition in that certain way. But then when you get closer and understand, you'll define things in a certain way. That is not the only, and that is not the focus of this chat. That is not the only thing. I'm just using that example. There's many more other examples that we might have of misunderstood definitions, where you grow up finding this definition, but when you study this, you find that this is not things. This is not the way things are. This is not how we should be describing this particular thing. This particular one should be described in this way. And then you will learn that, oh, this is how it works. We quite often learn understanding, because when you start doing things in a certain way, you will have a better understanding. Now, a wise person once asked me, what is understanding? Or how do we strengthen our understanding? And one of the ways to strengthen our understanding is through learning, through doing research, through digging and finding more and more, and that's how you're going to strengthen your understanding. And when you do so, you become better. Your ways of being judgmental becomes better. You will learn. Unfortunately, we learn in different ways. We learn through life experience, we learn through theory, we learn through so many things, and certain things when you don't learn, life will teach you to learn that in its own way. This life is a beautiful life. Define things in your own way and take your time. Don't rush. Don't rush to get to that conclusion. Don't rush to get to that conclusion that people tell you that you're gonna get to this. It's not just people. It's the world. We have that pressure where we don't know it comes from, where we're trying to make sense of something, and we put ourselves under so much pressure, only to figure that if you just take your time, you actually don't need to be so under pressure. You don't need to be. You are meant to take your own time, but you also understand that people will judge you and define you also. But the sooner you do that, you know that, okay, it's not an attack against you. It's not an attack. It's just that that's where everyone is at. They're going to define everything they see in their own way, and they're going to try to pass it within the society that everyone now must define you in this way because somebody made sense according to his own logic that he needed this sense. And you didn't deserve to be defined in that way. But somebody wanted to get that sense and say, this is how I want to define this. This is how I want to see this. And they wanted to do it so. So, yeah, you're the victim of that moment. So what do? You live with it. But then you find your own definition and say, I am not going to let that person's definition or define who I am. I am going to define myself. I'm not going to let that define how I do things. I'm going to define things myself. I need to define things in my own way. I need to define things in my own way.